Today we're going to be going over your notes on selecting fabric. When you're selecting fabric, you want to check the pattern. Remember, on the back of the pattern you have suggested fabrics. This pattern suggests for all views of this vest that you choose cotton, cotton blends, linen, challis, chambray, denim, gabardine, lightweight corduroy, flannel, wool, wool blends, velveteen, and a similar fabric for the lining. Remember that there are special fabric notes, and this pattern suggests all garments not suitable for obvious diagonals. Additional fabric may be needed to match stripes, plaids, and one-way fabric. The other thing that might be on the back of this is a little ruler that would tell you the stretch gauge that you would need for a knit fabric that would stretch. When you're choosing fabric, you want to choose a fabric that's easy to sew with, especially when you're a beginner. I've chosen to use a cotton fabric that's relatively easy to sew with, relatively inexpensive, but remember that you're going to be spending your time and effort making this garment, so you want to get a good quality fabric that's worth using. Some fabrics that are not good choices would be slippery fabrics because they're hard to keep together and work with, loosely woven fabrics because they tend to stretch out of shape, sheer fabrics where the inner seams would always be showing and be difficult to work with, thick, bulky fabrics that are hard to handle, one-way designs because you have to make sure that you keep everything going in the same direction. You wouldn't want something upside down. Pile fabrics like corduroy and velvet because the light hits them differently, so you have to make sure they're all going in the same direction. And stripes and plaids because a sure sign of a poorly made garment is when your stripes and plaids don't match up. When you're choosing fabric, you want to think about the appearance and the color. I've chosen a blue print and a blue solid for this. I like blue, so that's a good choice. But you want to make sure that you like the fabric because you're going to be working with it. And you also want to think about the activities you're going to be doing. A silk fabric or a satin fabric might not be a good choice for a bathing suit. One, because it wouldn't have the stretch quality that you might like, but also because silk wouldn't last long in chlorine or the sun. How much fabric should you buy? Remember that you have a fabric chart on the back, and for this vest it is view D, and I'm using a fabric that is 45 inches wide, which is a typical cotton width. From selvage to selvage, it's 45 inches wide. Excuse me. Some fabrics are 60 inches wide. Most of your knit fabrics are at least that wide. And every once in a while you'll find an older fabric that is only 36 inches wide. You want to think of the view you're making, so you would look at the view, you would go across to the size that you're making, and if I come down, this pattern is a large, I need 1.5 yards of my blue print for the vest and 7/8 of a yard for the lining fabric. And the lining is just another fabric. Then I also need on here 7/8 of a yard for my interfacing. So you need to remember those three things when you're buying fabric: the width of the fabric, the view you are making, and the size you are making.